Wow. Thank you, Rocky.
That was beautiful.
Thanks. And very appropriate for today's service. And we have such a gift today because Jim Johnson is going to give their talk today. And for those of you who don't know Jim, I just wanted to say a few words of introduction. He started his journey in life as a Southern Baptist. And then when he left that, discovered Unity. He's been a long-time member here at Unity. First started coming with Reverend Maureen. Reverend Maureen over 20 years ago. But Jim is an indomitable spirit. That's how I like to talk about it. It's like, there is nothing that you can put in front of Jim that he does not see the good in. There's nothing that happens in Jim's life that he does not apply principle to. Whether that be his tap dancing, and if we had a wooden floor, I'm sure he'd demonstrate for us today. Or if you had the privilege of like being with me at his 80th birthday party, 80 years young this year, it was just amazing how he could bring people together in a celebration of life and love. He is an ordained minister in A Course in Miracles, and has applied that teaching to his Unity and come up with his own philosophy of life. And he's also an author of several books. This is one of them, Celebrating Life: Laws, Lies, Power, and Truths of the Universe. So here to give us a glimpse into that world, into his amazing spirit, is Jim Johnson.
My talk this morning is to tell you that you are a powerful person. And as the lyrics in Rocky's song said, you not only have the ability to predict what your future is going to be, you have the ability to create it. Whatever it is that you want to happen, you can cause it to happen. And the reason that you're able to do this is because of the laws of the universe. Now, as Unity students, we know that there are physical laws of the universe, and there are metaphysical laws of the universe. One of the physical laws of the universe is the law of gravity. The law of gravity says if you jump off the Golden Gate Bridge, you're going to get wet. It works every time. And one of the metaphysical laws of the universe is thoughts become things. And it works every time. Now, on the physical plane, the earth is the matrix in which we plant seeds, causing vegetation to grow. And what you plant is what you get. I remember my grandmother had a little garden in the backyard, and she saved those packets that the seeds came in. And she staked one at the head of each row so that she could look down and see what she had planted, knowing full well that that's what she was going to get. And not only do you get what you plant, you get it in abundance because the earth is an abundant matrix. For example, if you planted one kernel of corn, you'd get a stalk, and each stalk has maybe 5 ears, and each ear has maybe 100 kernels. So by planting one kernel abundantly, you get 500. So the earth is an abundant matrix. So not only do you get what you plant, but you get it back in abundance. Now, on the metaphysical plane, divine substance is a matrix in which we plant our thoughts, causing our reality to materialize. And you say, well, what is divine substance? Well, we're in it. I mean, you can't see it, taste it, or smell it, but we're in it. It's like if you say to the goldfish, fish, how's the water today? And the fish says, well, where's the water? And you say, well, you're in it. Well, that's the way it is with divine substance. And so every thought that we plant into divine substance, every thought becomes our reality. Thoughts become things, and it works every time. Now, the reason that our thoughts manifest into our reality is because of the law of light vibration. Every thought that we put out into divine substance is vibrating at a certain frequency. And since like attracts like, that thought grabs onto the reality that's vibrating at the same frequency, grabs it back in, and that's how our thoughts become our reality. Now, Esther Hicks has written an entire book on the law of like vibration. And you can see how this works every day. I mean, how many people do you know who say, well, if anything bad is going to happen, it's going to happen to me? In the Old Testament, Job said, my fears have come upon me. Well, of course they did. It's a self-proclaiming prophecy. Which reminds me of this joke about this guy that was, I can't give a talk without telling a joke. This guy was sitting in the bar, and he had a full drink in front of him, and this Hell's Angel biker came in, grabbed his drink and chug-a-lugged it down, and the guy said, hey, you just drank my drink. And the biker said, yeah? What are you going to do about it? And the guy started to cry. And the biker said, hey man, he said, don't cry. I hate to see a grown man cry. What are you crying about? And the guy said, today is the worst day of my life. Everything has gone wrong, just as I knew it would. This morning, I got fired from my job. On my way home, I wrecked the car. When I got home, my wife was in bed with another guy, and my dog bit me. I knew that everything was going to go wrong, and he said, I decided to come here to this bar and end it all. I dropped a poison pill in my drink, and you come along and you drink. But he said, enough about me, how's your day going? So, see, on the other hand, you and I know that we can take the law of like vibration and work it to our advantage. We know the truth of this saying is, an end result visualized with expectation will always force the circumstances necessary to cause its manifestation, no matter how unlikely or even impossible those circumstances may have previously seemed. Now, that truth and that mantra is very clear in the story about the donkey in the well. Does anybody know the story about the donkey in the well? Well, are you about to hear it? This old donkey lived out on the farm, and he was retired, and he spent his time just kind of roaming around the farm. Well, one evening, he roamed a little too close to an old abandoned well. And his eyesight wasn't very good, and his legs weren't very steady. So he slipped, and he fell in the well. Feet first, straight down, 6 feet. So the donkey looked up and he thought, this is not where I want to be. And see, this wasn't just your plain old run-of-the-mill donkey. This was a metaphysical donkey. And so he knew that if he was someplace where he did not want to be, that he needed to visualize where it was that he did want to be. So he visualized that the farmer and the hired hands would discover that he was missing. They would look for him, they would find him, and they would rescue him. So the next morning he heard voices, sure enough, and he heard the farmer say, he's over here, he fell in the well. And the donkey said, great, they found me. They're going to rescue me now. And then he heard the farmer say, that old donkey has pretty much outlived his usefulness. And I've been meaning to fill this hole in for a long time. So now might be just the ideal time to do that. And the donkey thought, well, no, that's not what I visualized. I visualized that these guys were going to rescue me. I didn't visualize they were going to bury me. Well, at the command of the farmer, the hired hand started shoveling dirt into the hole. And as the dirt was falling on the donkey's back, he thought, I'm going to be hard-pressed to call this good. But he called it good. He didn't call it good because it was good. He called it good so that it could become good, because he knew that's the way the universe worked. Well, as the dirt was falling on the donkey's back, he would shake it off They would fall down on the floor of the well, and he would tromp on it. So he would notice that he would shake a little, tromp a little, shake a little, tromp a little. And as this process continued, he noticed that the floor of the well was rising. And of course, as the floor of the well was rising, the donkey was rising. And so this process continued and continued and continued until all of a sudden the donkey was able to stick his head up out of the hole, look around, and there was the farm, just as he had envisioned it, and he was able to step up and step out, and he was able to fulfill his desire as expressed in his visualizing. Well, the moral of this story, of course, is that, thoughts become things. But, then you say, well, that's a cute story about a donkey and a well, but that has absolutely no relationship to me, a person. That has no application from a practical point of view for me. Well, what happens is, it does. 8 years ago, I was on a cruise. I was going around the Hawaiian Islands. I was part of a group of 40 people, and we were being chaperoned by a guy named Mike Dooley. Does anybody know who Mike Dooley is? Mike Dooley does a daily email column called Thoughts from the Universe. And it's as if he were the universe speaking and writing to those of us who are reading. So there were 40 of us who were devotees to Mike Dooley, and we were on this cruise with him going around the Hawaiian Islands. So those of us who were a part of his group did everything that everybody else did on the cruise, but we also attended 3 workshops that he put on. And his workshops were entitled Manifesting Your Destiny Through Visualization. And so he gave the pointers on how to do that. And so we were pretty much entrenched in knowing that we visualized whatever we wanted, 5 minutes every day, only 5 minutes, because if you do it longer than that, you get sick of it, you won't do it anymore. You do it regularly every day, and you feel the emotion of what it is that you're visualizing. So after I got home, I thought, that really is a neat technique. I really ought to give that a try. What is it that I would like to visualize and manifest? And I thought, it would be absolutely super if the mortgage on my building on Rhode Island Street just disappeared. All $450,000 of it. Because if that mortgage disappeared, then I wouldn't have to make those $2,500 a month payments. It would be as if the universe gave me a raise of $2,500 a month. So I visualized every day, 5 minutes every day, that I had a big banner that I was holding, and it said $450,000 mortgage, Wells Fargo Bank. And I visualized that as I was holding this banner up, that all of a sudden it just disappeared. And part of the process in this visualization is that you never doubt that what you're visualizing is going to happen. You visualize with knowing that it is going to happen, and you never, never, never ask how, or even question how. Mike Dooley calls those accursed hows, and that's not our responsibility. The hows are the responsibilities of the universe. So I visualized for 5 minutes every day that this banner, mortgage, just disappeared. And so I visualized this steadfastly. And my good old Southern Baptist grandmother had a saying about this. She said, don't count your chickens before they're hatched. And Mike Dooley says that's exactly what you do. You give gratitude in advance for the fact that the chickens have hatched so that they will hatch. And so I really got into it. I saw this $2,500 a month that I wasn't going to have to pay to Wells Fargo. I even made a laundry list of how I was going to spend the money every month and what I was going to do with it. I was really counting my chickens long before they were hatched. And so this process went on for about 3 months. And so one day the phone rang and this lady said, "Is this Jim Johnson?" And I said, "Yes, it is." She said, "Mr. Johnson, we would like to pay off the mortgage to Wells Fargo Bank, your $450,000, and give you $100,000. And I said, "Well, it's about time." Well, I mean, after all, I've been counting my chickens for 3 months. I said, "What are the circumstances of this event taking place?" And she said, "Well, the name of our company is Financial Freedom. And we are a reverse mortgage company." She said, "Do you know about reverse mortgages?" And I said, "No." I said, "I've seen them advertised in the newspaper, and I see them advertised across the bottom of my computer screen, but I never paid any attention to them because, a mortgage is a mortgage, and I already had a mortgage, and I didn't think I needed to have another mortgage." And she said, "Well, we have done our homework, and we know that you are 72 years old." And I said, this was 8 years ago, way back when I was only 72. And she said, "We anticipate that you might live to be 100. And we anticipate that the value of your property is $1.5 million. And we will loan you 40% of the appraised value. And that will pay off Wells Fargo mortgage and give you some money besides." She said, "Hey, how does that sound?" And I said, well, what's the big deal? I mean, we're just trading one mortgage for another. So we pay off Wells Fargo, and then I have my mortgage to you." And she said, No. The difference is that you will never have to pay us back." She said, "Your mortgage will just disappear." She said, "Mr. Johnson, you will never, ever make another mortgage payment on that piece of property." She said, "1 year after you leave the planet," she probably didn't say after I leave the planet, she only said 1 year after you die, "the property will be sold. And we will collect the interest that's been accruing, that you have not been paying. And we will be paid, but we won't be paid by you. You will never have to pay us. And the balance of the proceeds will go to your heirs." She said, "Now, well, we know all about you, but we really do need to actually appraise the property." She said, "When would it be convenient for our appraiser to come out and meet with you and appraise the building?" And I said, "Well, I couldn't possibly squeeze that in until this afternoon." Well, the guy didn't show up that afternoon, but he showed up the next day. And the property didn't appraise quite at $1.5 million because 8 years ago, there weren't too many 2-unit buildings on Potrero Hill going for $1.5 million. But anyway, it did appraise high enough that Wells Fargo was paid off, and I have not made a mortgage payment in 8 years, and I will never have to make another mortgage payment. And the thing that I would like to do now is to repeat the mantra, but this time, instead of you're thinking about it in terms of the donkey and the well, think about it in terms of the mortgage disappearing. And in result, visualize with expectation will always force the circumstances necessary to cause its manifestation, no matter how unlikely or even impossible those circumstances may have previously seemed. So, you see, the purpose of my talk this morning is to tell you that you are a powerful person. You not only can predict what your future will be, you have the ability to create it. Whatever it is that you want to happen, you can cause it to happen. And the reason that you're able to do this is because of the laws of the universe. There are physical laws of the universe and there are metaphysical laws of the universe. And one of the metaphysical laws of the universe is thoughts become things. And it works every time.
Reverend Jim Johnson. So let's take this into meditation. And so we breathe into this space of the blessing. The blessing that is our life, that we are right now. Opening our hearts. Remembering that we are multidimensional beings. And as we open our heart, we are opening our heart in all of those dimensions. Front, back, side, up, down, in, out, over, under. Just allowing the blessing to make itself known and celebrating it, calling to mind, calling to your heart that for which you are grateful, that which is your blessing, and opening